I never imagined that an ordinary click on an online catalog could set in motion a series of events that would alter the course of my life. I'd always been a connoisseur of fine wine, a passion that started in my early 20s and deepened over years of study and solitary indulgence. That afternoon, while browsing on a lazy, rain-soaked Saturday, I came across an offer so intriguing that I couldn't resist. The website promised a rare vintage, a bottle that was said to be the quintessence of opulence and mystery, accompanied by a discreet delivery service that catered to connoisseurs of the clandestine. I hesitated for just a moment before placing the order. The process was smooth, almost too smooth. My payment was processed, and I received an immediate confirmation email that spoke of exclusivity and discretion in every carefully chosen word. That email, as much as the wine itself, beckoned me into a secret world that was as intoxicating as the drink it advertised. I remember the day the package arrived, a crisp autumn evening with the cool whisper of wind dancing along the sidewalk outside my apartment. The delivery man, impeccably dressed in a dark suit and an unreadable expression, handed me the package without a word. There was an unmistakable sense of ceremony to the exchange, a silent promise of an experience that would go far beyond the mere taste of fine wine. That night, I uncorked the bottle with a reverence usually reserved for sacred rituals. The aroma was deep and complex, a symphony of dark cherries, aged leather, and a hint of smoke. Sipping slowly, I allowed the flavors to envelop my senses. In that solitary moment, with the city's ambient hum in the background, I felt a surge of anticipation. I sensed that this was not simply a bottle of wine, but rather a key to an undiscovered chapter of my life. Within days of that first indulgence, mysterious invitations began arriving. A handwritten note slipped under my door, sealed with a wax emblem I couldn't quite decipher. It invited me to a lavish dinner hosted at an elegant estate on the outskirts of the city. The language was poetic, hinting at clandestine meetings, intellectual discussions, and, most dangerously of all, a promise of forbidden love. I was torn between excitement and caution. My logical mind screamed that this might be a hoax or, worse, a setup. Yet something in the carefully chosen words, the meticulous calligraphy, stirred a part of me that had long been dormant, a yearning for passion, for secrets that could only be shared by those daring enough to defy convention. I decided to attend. The night of the dinner arrived like a scene from a dream. I remember stepping out in a tailored suit that I rarely wore. My hands trembled slightly as I touched the door handle of the estate. The grand foyer was adorned with soft, amber lighting and walls draped in rich tapestries. There was an air of refined mystery, as if every corner concealed a story waiting to be told. I was greeted by a host whose smile was both welcoming and enigmatic, a man whose eyes hinted at knowledge of things best left unspoken. Dinner was a series of revelations. Each course was accompanied by a wine that seemed to mirror my earlier taste, yet each glass carried nuances that spoke of a hidden narrative. As I conversed with the other guests, a motley group of individuals, each with a story as layered as the wine we sipped, I began to realize that we were all drawn together by more than just an appreciation for fine vintages. We were united by secrets, by the shared thrill of living on the edge of society's expectations. Midway through the dinner, as the orchestra struck a soft, haunting melody, I found myself seated across from a woman whose presence was at once captivating and confounding. She introduced herself as Isabella, with a voice that was both gentle and laced with an undeniable intensity. Our conversation flowed naturally, delving from trivial pleasantries to the depths of our innermost desires and fears. It became increasingly clear that she, too, was drawn to the clandestine allure of these secret gatherings, a world where convention was left at the door and every shared smile promised a spark of rebellion. As the night deepened, so did our connection. In a quiet moment away from the prying eyes of the other guests, Isabella confided in me about her own dangerous liaison, her involvement in a romance that society would deem taboo. Her words painted a picture of a life filled with both exquisite pleasure and heart-wrenching loss. With every word, I felt the pull of something that transcended ordinary love, a passion that was as exhilarating as it was forbidden. Yet, beneath the surface of that opulent evening, I began to sense that not everything was as it appeared. The online order for fine wine had opened a door, but it had also betrayed the undercurrents of a secret world, where loyalties were murky and every act of indulgence came at a price. The more I learned about the group, the more I realized that our gatherings were more than just luxurious nights of wine and conversation. They were a meeting of souls caught in a delicate dance between desire and danger. That first dinner, with its sumptuous food, enigmatic guests, and promises of secret pleasures, marked the beginning of an adventure I could never have foreseen. Over the following weeks, as I continued to receive discreet invitations and found myself drawn deeper into this hidden network, my life transformed in ways I had never imagined. The fine wine wasn't just a beverage, it was a symbol, a catalyst for encounters that challenged the boundaries of my understanding of love and fidelity. I found myself haunted by the memory of Isabella's eyes, by the way she seemed to peer into the depths of my soul as we shared our hidden truths. In the soft glow of candlelight, as the echoes of whispered confessions filled the air, I began to wonder if I was prepared to risk everything for a love that was as volatile as it was irresistible. Was I ready to step off the well-trodden path of predictability and into a realm where every encounter was a delicate balance of ecstasy and peril? Little did I know that my next encounter would shatter any semblance of normalcy I had clung to for so long. The taste of that exquisite wine lingered on my palate, a constant reminder that every sip carried with it the promise of both delight and disaster. And so, as I sat alone that night, swirling the last remnants of wine in a crystal glass, I felt an overwhelming mix of hope and trepidation. The journey ahead was uncertain, and the stakes were higher than I could have ever anticipated. This was only the beginning, a prologue to a life-changing odyssey where every secret meeting, every shared glance, and every stolen moment would lead me down a path of passion and heartbreak. The online order that had seemed so innocuous was, in truth, a gateway to an existence where love was both a sanctuary and a battleground. And as I prepared myself for what was to come, I couldn't help but feel that I was standing at the precipice of something extraordinary. The thrill of that unforgettable dinner still pulsed through me like the echo of a half-remembered dream. In the days that followed, the enigmatic threads of our secret society began to weave themselves more tightly around my existence. I found myself both anxious and exhilarated, a paradox that seemed to intensify with every new invitation that arrived in my mailbox, a series of handwritten letters that promised further indulgences and hinted at dangers lurking beneath the surface of our lavish meetings. It wasn't long before I received another invitation, this time to a nocturnal gathering in a secluded mansion on the outskirts of the city. The invitation, elegantly penned and sealed with an emblem identical to that on the fine wine package, promised an evening under the spell of the full moon, a night where secrets would be laid bare and the allure of forbidden love would reach new heights. The mere prospect of such a night sent shivers down my spine. The journey to the mansion was shrouded in an almost palpable sense of mystery. Driving along a winding road bordered by ancient oak trees, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was leaving behind a world of the mundane and stepping into a realm where every moment could change the course of my life. The mansion itself, a sprawling estate with ivy-clad walls and towering columns, looked like a relic of a bygone era, a monument to both grandeur and hidden sorrow. Upon entering, I was greeted by an atmosphere thick with anticipation. The interior was dimly lit, each corridor whispering its own tale of long-forgotten secrets. Soft strains of a melancholy piano melody filled the air, intertwining with the murmur of hushed conversations as guests moved gracefully through the rooms. The ambience was intoxicating, a carefully orchestrated blend of elegance and enigma that left me both enchanted and slightly unnerved. I soon found myself seated at a long, polished table, where an exquisite feast awaited. Every course was a work of art, delicate hors d'oeuvres that melted on the tongue, rich soups that warmed the heart, and entries that balanced decadence with a refined simplicity. But it wasn't just the food that captivated me. The wine flowed like liquid silk, each glass a portal to another layer of the mystery I was rapidly becoming entangled in. Throughout the dinner, I kept stealing glances at Isabella. She was seated at the far end of the table, her eyes occasionally meeting mine with a knowing look that spoke of shared secrets. It was as if, without uttering a word, she understood the internal struggle I faced, a conflict between the safety of a predictable life and the dangerous allure of an untamed passion. The atmosphere seemed to pulse with every heartbeat, as though the mansion itself were alive with anticipation. When the dinner concluded, a sudden hush fell over the assembled guests. A distinguished figure, whom I later learned was named Julian, stepped forward to address us. His voice, smooth and resonant, recounted the history of our clandestine society, a lineage of rebels and dreamers who had, for generations, sought to reclaim the lost art of living passionately. He spoke of love that defied convention, of nights filled with both ecstasy and peril, and of the inherent cost of such daring pursuits. As Julian's words settled in the air, I felt a stirring of something deeper within me, a mix of longing and trepidation. Here was a man who not only understood the allure of the forbidden but had embraced it wholeheartedly, a living testament to the transformative power of following one's heart against the strictures of societal expectation. After the formalities, Isabella approached me with an invitation of her own, a quiet request to accompany her to a secluded garden behind the mansion. The garden was a secret sanctuary, hidden from prying eyes by tall hedges and an intricate maze of stone paths. Under a sky blanketed with stars and the silver glow of the full moon, we strolled slowly along the winding trails, the world around us fading into a soft, almost surreal blur. In that hidden haven, our conversation deepened. We spoke of dreams we had long buried, of moments when the desire to break free from the confines of normality became overwhelming. Isabella confided that she, too, had once lived a life marked by careful routines and muted desires until an unexpected encounter had awakened a fire within her, a fire that now threatened to consume every rational part of her being. Her words resonated with me on a profound level, and I found myself sharing secrets I had never before voiced, exposing the hidden corridors of my heart where hopes and fears coexisted in a fragile balance. The intensity of that night was heightened by the ever-present risk, a sense that we were treading on dangerous ground. Every whispered word, every lingering glance, carried with it the weight of consequences both personal and unforeseen. Yet, despite the underlying peril, the night was also liberating, a momentary escape from the mundane that allowed us to glimpse the boundless possibilities of love, no matter how forbidden it might be. As the evening drew to a close and we reluctantly parted ways, I felt an overwhelming mix of exhilaration and sorrow. I knew that the path I was embarking on was fraught with risks. The moments of intimacy and vulnerability came with a cost, one that could shatter the fragile structures of my life. But for that fleeting night under the moon's watchful gaze, I was willing to risk everything for a taste of something extraordinary. In the days that followed, the mansion and its secrets remained at the forefront of my thoughts. I began to notice subtle changes in my daily routine, a persistent restlessness, a mind occupied by daydreams of clandestine rendezvous and the profound intimacy shared with Isabella. The world around me seemed to take on a muted quality, as if I were seeing it through a lens tinted with both melancholy and desire. My inner conflict grew. I was drawn to the raw, unfiltered passion that these secret nights offered, yet I was also aware of the societal expectations that bound me, a set of rules that dictated a life of measured steps and predictable outcomes. The dichotomy between the life I had known and the one that beckoned was stark, and I found myself teetering on the edge of a precipice. Would I dare to let go of the familiar, secure existence that had defined me for so long, or would I cling to the certainty of a life devoid of the vibrant, if dangerous, hues of forbidden love? In quiet moments, I began to reflect on the nature of choice and consequence. The more I immersed myself in this enigmatic world, the more I realized that every moment of pleasure came with an undercurrent of risk, a price that was paid not in currency, but in the sacrifices of heart and soul. Yet, as I stared into the mirror each morning, I could no longer ignore the truth that lay in the depths of my own eyes, a truth that whispered of a longing for authenticity, for a life lived in defiance of convention. Even as doubts and fears nagged at the edges of my consciousness, the allure of that secret garden, the mesmerizing taste of the rare vintage wine, and the profound connection with Isabella became inescapable. I resolved to embrace the unknown, to venture further into this labyrinth of desire, and to confront the dualities within myself head-on. That resolve was tested sooner than I expected. One rainy evening, as I returned home from a late-night stroll through the city, a brief reprieve to clear my thoughts, I found an unexpected package waiting at my doorstep. Wrapped in plain paper and marked with no return address, it contained a single object, a small, intricately carved wooden box. Inside lay a collection of mementos, a faded photograph of a couple entwined in an embrace, a handwritten note in an elegant script, and a tiny vial filled with what appeared to be red wine. The note was terse, yet its implications were profound. The path you walk is one of both beauty and sorrow. Tread carefully, for every step will reveal a truth you may not be ready to face. The mystery of the package gnawed at me. Who had sent it? Was it a warning, or an invitation to delve even deeper? The object seemed to embody everything that was both alluring and perilous about this hidden world, a tangible reminder that the pursuit of forbidden love was not without its sacrifices. In the following weeks, as I continued to juggle my mundane daily routine with the extraordinary encounters that had become my new reality, I became increasingly aware of the subtle shifts in my surroundings. The secret meetings grew more frequent, each gathering more intense than the last, as if the participants were all edging closer to a moment of irreversible revelation. With every secret rendezvous, the lines between right and wrong, between caution and abandon, blurred ever further. And then, one fateful night, everything changed. I received an invitation to a clandestine masquerade ball, a grand affair held in an old, forgotten chateau, illuminated by candlelight and steeped in an air of mystery. The invitation promised anonymity and indulgence, a night where masks would conceal identities and every whispered secret could be shared without fear of judgment. It was an invitation to cast aside all pretenses and to embrace the raw, unfiltered essence of desire. At the ball, the atmosphere was charged with an intensity that defied description. The guests, adorned in elaborate masks and elegant attire, moved gracefully through the grand halls, their eyes glittering with hidden intentions. I found myself swept up in the magic of the night, the anonymity of my mask offering both freedom and a dangerous sense of liberation. It was here, amid the swirling colors and intoxicating music, that I once again encountered Isabella, her mask concealing her identity, yet her eyes unmistakably conveying the same storm of emotion that I had come to cherish. As the night unfolded, we found ourselves drawn together, compelled by a force that transcended the superficial glamour of the masquerade. Our conversation flowed effortlessly, each moment building upon the last, until the boundaries between us seemed to dissolve entirely. In the privacy of a secluded alcove, away from the prying eyes of the crowd, Isabella revealed another facet of her secret life, a chapter filled with both intense passion and unspeakable loss. Her story was one of survival and defiance, a testament to the strength of the human spirit even in the face of overwhelming odds. Her revelations left me both in awe and filled with a deep sense of empathy. It was then that I understood that our clandestine gatherings were not just about the pursuit of pleasure, they were also a sanctuary for souls scarred by life, seeking solace in the arms of forbidden love. Every encounter, every whispered promise, carried with it the weight of past sorrows and the hope of healing. In that moment, I made a silent vow to myself: I would no longer allow fear to dictate the terms of my existence. I was ready to embrace the passion and pain that came with living authentically, even if it meant walking a perilous path where every step was fraught with uncertainty. The journey ahead was bound to be as treacherous as it was beautiful, but I knew that I could not turn back. As I left the chateau that night, the cool air of early dawn mingling with the lingering warmth of the masquerade, I felt transformed. The fine wine, the lavish dinners, and the forbidden love had all conspired to awaken something dormant within me, a fierce desire to live fully, to love without restraint, and to confront the mysteries of my own heart head-on. Yet, even as I welcomed this newfound clarity, I could not shake the nagging feeling that the deeper I delved into this clandestine world, the more I risked losing the very parts of myself I sought to reclaim. The delicate balance between passion and peril was as unpredictable as the swirling patterns of wine in a glass. Every secret whispered in the dark, every forbidden touch, carried the potential to shatter the fragile illusion of safety I had long maintained. In the silent hours of that transformative night, as I navigated the labyrinth of my emotions, I realized that the journey into the heart of forbidden love was not merely about indulging in fleeting pleasures. It was about discovering the truth of who I was, a person capable of both immense joy and profound sorrow. And in that revelation, I found the strength to continue, even as the shadows of uncertainty loomed large. I now stand at the threshold of a future filled with both promise and peril, with the taste of exquisite wine still lingering on my lips and the memory of Isabella's soulful eyes etched into my mind. The secret nights that began with an online order for fine wine have evolved into a complex tapestry of experiences, each moment a blend of passion, danger, and the bittersweet beauty of a life lived on the edge. As I prepare to turn the next page in this unfolding saga, I know that the path ahead will be as unpredictable as the interplay of light and shadow in a moonlit garden. Yet, armed with the courage to embrace the unknown, I am ready to face whatever destiny has in store, each step a testament to the transformative power of forbidden love, each moment a whisper of the eternal dance between desire and despair. I awoke the following morning with a peculiar mixture of exhilaration and dread, a heady cocktail of emotion that left my heart pounding as though it were trying to escape the confines of my chest. The aftershocks of the masquerade ball still reverberated in my veins, and yet, as dawn crept through the window, reality began to intrude upon the fragile world of nocturnal dreams. Every detail of the ball, the flutter of silk, the shimmering masks, the whispered secrets in dimly lit corridors, seemed to merge with my waking thoughts, transforming the night into a vivid tapestry of memories and promises of danger yet unmet. In the ensuing days, I found myself wandering through a city that suddenly appeared both familiar and foreign. The ordinary hum of daily life, the clatter of coffee cups, the murmur of pedestrians on busy sidewalks, served as a stark contrast to the opulent and mysterious world I had begun to inhabit. Each morning, as I sipped my coffee, I wondered if the enchantment of that hidden realm could ever truly escape the boundaries of the mundane. Yet, with every passing hour, the allure of forbidden love and clandestine gatherings tugged at my soul, urging me to seek a truth that lay just beyond the horizon of my everyday existence. It was on one such ordinary afternoon, while perusing the local bookstore, that I stumbled upon a weathered journal tucked away in a forgotten corner. Its cover was embossed with intricate patterns that hinted at a bygone era, a time when passion and peril danced hand in hand, unburdened by the constraints of modernity. Something about that journal called to me, as if it were a silent messenger from the depths of my own yearning. I purchased it on impulse, feeling that its contents might hold clues to the strange events unfolding in my life. Late that night, as I settled into my study with the journal spread open before me, I began to read passages that spoke of secret societies, ritualistic gatherings, and a love so intense that it defied the laws of fate. Each page chronicled the experiences of someone who, much like me, had dared to walk the thin line between ecstasy and despair. The words were at once a comfort and a challenge, a reminder that I was not alone in my longing to break free from the shackles of conformity, yet also a stark warning of the risks that lay ahead. A week later, an unexpected message arrived via email. It was brief, just a few cryptic sentences, and sent from an address that offered no clues to its sender's identity. The message read: "The path of destiny is as intricate as the veins in a wine leaf. Seek the hidden chamber beneath the old chapel at dusk, and you may find answers to the questions that haunt your heart." The urgency and mystery of the note propelled me into a state of restless anticipation. I spent the day scouring my memory and piecing together hints from previous encounters. Was this the work of Julian, or perhaps someone else from the enigmatic circle that had so thoroughly transformed my nights? The note, with its poetic cadence and veiled threats, evoked both hope and a creeping sense of foreboding. That evening, as the sky transformed into a canvas of twilight hues, I found myself drawn to the ancient chapel mentioned in the note. The building, with its time-worn stone facade and towering spire, exuded an aura of solemnity and hidden purpose. I approached the chapel cautiously, my footsteps echoing along the deserted cobblestone path leading to its entrance. The air was cool and carried a whisper of incense and damp earth, a fitting prelude to what I sensed would be an encounter of both revelation and risk. Inside, the chapel was bathed in a soft, ethereal glow. Dust motes danced in the beams of the dying light, and every surface seemed imbued with the weight of history. I moved slowly, as though each step could disturb centuries of secrets embedded in the worn wooden pews and crumbling altar. Following the faint outline described in the note, I discovered a narrow passage concealed behind a tapestry depicting a scene of divine ecstasy. The passage led downward into what appeared to be a hidden crypt, a small chamber shrouded in darkness and mystery. In the dim light of my hastily lit candle, I examined the chamber. The walls were lined with ornate carvings and faded inscriptions that told stories of love, loss, and sacrifice. At the far end of the room stood a solitary pedestal, upon which rested a sealed envelope marked with the same emblem as the one on my original wine order. My pulse quickened as I reached out, the weight of destiny pressing upon me. With trembling fingers, I broke the seal and unfolded the letter inside. The letter was written in a fluid, elegant hand, its words weaving a narrative that seemed both personal and universal. It spoke of a convergence of souls destined to alter the course of fate, a destiny intertwined with passion, betrayal, and redemption. The letter warned of impending choices that would either bind our hearts together in an unbreakable bond or shatter them beyond repair. It mentioned Isabella by name, as if confirming that our fates were irrevocably linked, and urged me to prepare for a journey that would test the limits of both love and loyalty. A cold shiver ran down my spine as I absorbed the letter's contents. The crypt, with its relics and echoes of lost voices, felt less like a sanctuary and more like a crossroads, a point of no return where every decision would have profound consequences. The questions in my heart multiplied. Who was orchestrating these secret meetings and mysterious messages? What price would I have to pay to unlock the truth of this labyrinthine destiny? And most hauntingly, could I truly embrace the forbidden love that had consumed me, knowing that every moment of passion was intertwined with peril? Over the following days, my life took on a surreal cadence. Every encounter, every seemingly ordinary moment, was now charged with an undercurrent of meaning. I found solace in the quiet corners of my apartment, where I would reread the journal and ponder the enigmatic clues left behind in the hidden chamber. My thoughts frequently drifted to Isabella, her luminous eyes, her whispered confidences, and the way her very presence challenged my notions of what it meant to truly live. I recalled the silent promise in her gaze during our stolen moments at the masquerade ball and the secret garden, a promise that whispered of a future filled with both ecstasy and heartache. One evening, as I sat by the window watching the rain trace intricate patterns on the glass, I received another message. This time, it arrived in the form of a phone call. The line was quiet for a long moment before a soft, measured voice spoke. The voice was neither male nor distinctly feminine, it carried a resonance that was almost otherworldly. "You have taken the first steps along a path that few dare to tread," the voice intoned. "The journey ahead is perilous, and not all who seek the truth are prepared for what they will find. But if your heart is true and your resolve unwavering, then follow the path of the wine leaf until you reach the well of forgotten memories." The cryptic instructions echoed in my mind, stirring a resolve I hadn't known I possessed. The reference to a well of forgotten memories evoked images of childhood recollections, of moments lost in time but still capable of illuminating the darkness of the present. I wondered if this was yet another test, a challenge meant to strip away pretense and reveal the raw, unadorned essence of my being. In the days that followed, I found myself increasingly consumed by the search for meaning within the riddles that had been laid before me. I began to map out the locations hinted at in the messages, a labyrinth of sites scattered throughout the city, each imbued with its own history and potential revelations. I visited a long-abandoned mansion reputed to have once hosted secret rendezvous of political dissidents, a derelict theater where whispered legends of star-crossed lovers lingered in the echoes of empty auditoriums, and even a secluded park where an ancient stone well sat hidden beneath overgrown ivy and crumbling statues. At each location, I found remnants of a past that was both enchanting and tragic, each relic a silent testament to the enduring human spirit in the face of societal constraints. With each discovery, my understanding of the clandestine society deepened. It was as if these sites were scattered markers along a journey of transformation, guiding me to a revelation about love and loss, freedom and sacrifice. Yet, amid these adventures, the presence of Isabella loomed large in my thoughts. Our connection, forged in the heat of forbidden passion, had grown into something more profound, a bond that transcended mere physical desire. In quiet moments, I recalled the intensity of her confessions, the vulnerability with which she shared the scars of her past, and the unspoken understanding that seemed to pass between us with every shared glance. I longed to speak with her again, to seek solace in the shared knowledge that we were both caught in this web of destiny, yet I was haunted by the possibility that our paths might diverge as the stakes grew ever higher. One crisp evening, as I sat in a small, dimly lit cafe near the heart of the city, I sensed that fate was once again drawing me into the mystery. The cafe was a refuge for those who sought to escape the relentless pace of modern life, a place where time seemed to slow, and every whispered conversation carried the weight of untold stories. I was scribbling down thoughts in a worn notebook when I noticed a familiar figure slip through the door. It was Isabella, her presence as unmistakable as ever, her eyes searching the room until they met mine. In that instant, time seemed to fold upon itself, and I beckoned her to join me at my table. Her arrival was as subtle as a breeze yet as impactful as a tidal wave. We exchanged tentative smiles, each aware of the unspoken promise that lingered in the space between us. Over steaming cups of coffee and under the soft glow of vintage lamps, we resumed our conversation, this time with a deeper awareness of the forces that had brought us together. Isabella spoke of her own discoveries, of secret messages hidden in plain sight, and of a growing unease that had accompanied the thrill of our forbidden encounters. There was a gravity in her tone, a realization that the clandestine path we had chosen was not merely a dalliance with passion, but a profound journey into the very depths of our souls. We discussed the enigmatic clues, the hidden chamber beneath the chapel, and the strange symbols that had begun to appear in our respective lives. There was a mutual understanding that we were being guided toward something monumental, a revelation that could either redeem our past mistakes or unravel the delicate tapestry of our intertwined fates. Isabella's eyes shone with a blend of determination and sorrow as she confided that her family had long been entwined with the history of this secret society, and that the legacy of forbidden love was a burden passed down through generations. She believed that our meeting was not a mere accident, but the fulfillment of a destiny written long before either of us had been born. Her words stirred something deep within me, a recognition that our search for meaning was far more than a quest for momentary pleasure. It was an odyssey to reclaim parts of ourselves that had been lost in the relentless march of time, to uncover truths hidden beneath layers of tradition and societal expectations. In that quiet cafe, amid the gentle clink of porcelain and the soft murmur of background conversations, I made a silent vow. No matter how perilous the road ahead might be, I would follow this path, even if it led me through the darkest corridors of my own soul. As the evening wore on and our conversation deepened, Isabella and I devised a plan. We would retrace the steps hinted at by the cryptic messages and explore the hidden sites that seemed to hold the keys to our past and our future. Our journey would be one of discovery, a venture into forgotten places where the echoes of love and loss still resonated. We agreed that, together, we would confront the legacy of forbidden love, no matter the cost. In the weeks that followed, our clandestine expeditions became a nightly ritual. Every rendezvous was fraught with a palpable sense of urgency and danger. Every hidden clue unraveled another thread in the tapestry of our destiny. We ventured into the abandoned mansion with its echoes of revolutionary fervor, and into the decaying theater where ghostly remnants of passion and despair lingered in the rafters. Each new location deepened our understanding of the secret society, a network of souls united by a common desire to defy a world that had long dismissed the transformative power of raw, unfiltered love. Yet, amidst the thrill of discovery and the passion that bound us together, I could not shake the ever-present awareness that we were treading on treacherous ground. The more we uncovered, the more it became clear that forces beyond our control were at work, a legacy of secrets and sacrifices that extended far back into history. With every revelation came the realization that our choices were not solely our own, they were entwined with the destinies of countless others who had dared to dream of a life unburdened by convention. One particularly stormy night, as rain hammered against the windows of my apartment, I received yet another message. This time, it was delivered in the form of a fragile, handwritten letter slipped under my door. The letter was a farewell, signed with a name I had never seen before, yet its tone was imbued with sorrow and resignation. It spoke of a final reckoning, a moment when the shadows of the past would converge with the present, forcing a confrontation with truths too painful to ignore. The letter warned that the pursuit of forbidden love, while intoxicating, was not without irreversible consequences. It urged caution, yet it was impossible to read without feeling the crushing weight of inevitability. That night, as I lay awake, the words of the letter echoed relentlessly in my mind. I felt a profound loneliness, as though I were teetering on the brink of an abyss where every secret and every longing would be laid bare. I knew that Isabella and I were on the precipice of a transformation that would demand sacrifices, of our hearts, our pasts, and perhaps even our very identities. But in that darkness, I also felt a fierce determination, a promise to embrace the pain as an integral part of our journey, to acknowledge that the beauty of forbidden love was inseparable from the sorrow it could inflict. In the silent hours before dawn, as I wrestled with the enormity of our destiny, I resolved to face the coming trials with courage. The labyrinth of fate we had willingly entered was a maze of both wonder and danger. Every step forward was a dance with uncertainty, yet I was ready to embrace the chaos. My love for Isabella, as profound and unpredictable as the finest vintage wine, had become my guiding star, a beacon that promised both redemption and ruin. Now, as I prepare to step into the unknown once more, I am acutely aware that our journey is far from over. The legacy of clandestine gatherings, the mystery of secret messages, and the indelible mark of forbidden love have all set the stage for a final reckoning, a moment when the threads of our past, present, and future will converge into one decisive act. With Isabella by my side, I am ready to confront the labyrinth of destiny, whatever it may hold. And so, under a sky heavy with portent and the promise of a new beginning, I take a deep breath and step forward. The path is uncertain, the stakes are monumental, and the price of love may be higher than I ever imagined. Yet, in this dance between light and shadow, passion and despair, I choose to believe that every secret, every risk, is worth the pursuit of a truth that lies hidden in the delicate interplay of fate and desire. In the weeks that followed our nocturnal escapades and cryptic messages, the threads of fate began to tighten around us with an intensity that left no room for retreat. Isabella and I had come to understand that our journey, one ignited by a seemingly innocuous online order for fine wine, had evolved into an odyssey that touched upon the very core of human desire, sacrifice, and destiny. Every clandestine meeting, every hidden clue, every whispered conversation had been leading us toward this moment, a final reckoning where the tapestry of our lives would be irrevocably woven together. The night of the reckoning arrived on a crisp, starlit evening that felt both eerily still and charged with possibility. Isabella and I found ourselves summoned once more by a single, enigmatic invitation. Unlike the previous missives, this one carried an air of solemnity and finality that made the hairs on my neck stand on end. Its terse message read, "At the threshold of truth, all secrets are laid bare. Come alone to the ancient amphitheater at midnight." The ancient amphitheater, a relic from a time when passion and art were celebrated with unrestrained fervor, stood at the outskirts of the city. It was a place where the echoes of past performances and the laughter of long-forgotten audiences lingered among the crumbling stone arches. As I walked alone toward the venue, the cool night air mingled with my apprehension, and I couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had led me to this precipice. For hours, I retraced my steps in my mind, the lush dinners, the secret gardens, the crypt beneath the chapel, and the whispered confidences shared with Isabella in the quiet corners of ancient sites. Each memory was a fragment of a larger mosaic, one that now beckoned me to confront the hidden truths of our intertwined fates. I recalled the look in Isabella's eyes during our moments together, a blend of courage and vulnerability that had inspired me to question everything I once held to be certain. Arriving at the amphitheater, I was struck by a surreal stillness. The vast, open space was bathed in the gentle glow of moonlight, its long-forgotten seats arranged in a semicircle facing an imposing stage draped in shadows. I sensed that this was a place where the past and present converged, a sanctum for revelations too potent for the daylight. And then, emerging from the darkness at the center of the stage, a familiar figure materialized. It was Julian, the enigmatic host who had first drawn us into this secret world of forbidden passions and hidden legacies. Julian's eyes, reflecting the solemnity of the night, regarded me with an expression that was at once stern and compassionate. "You have come far, but the final chapter awaits," he intoned. His voice resonated through the amphitheater, carrying an authority that left little room for dissent. I could feel the weight of every choice I had made, every risk I had taken, pressing in upon me as I took my place before him. The stage was transformed into a setting reminiscent of a sacred ritual. Along its edges, members of our clandestine society gathered silently, their masked faces obscuring any trace of personal sentiment, yet their eyes, briefly catching the moonlight, spoke of centuries-old longing and sacrifice. They were the custodians of this ancient covenant, guardians of a legacy that had both enriched and tormented countless lives over generations. Julian continued, his voice weaving together the disparate threads of our shared journey. He spoke of the society's origins, a secret collective founded by souls who dared to defy the oppressive strictures of their times, who believed that true passion could transform not only individuals but the very fabric of society. The fine wine, the lavish dinners, and the hidden messages were all instruments in a grand design, to awaken a dormant spirit within each of us, to show that love, in all its forms, was a powerful force capable of both healing and devastation. As Julian's words resonated in the stillness, a palpable tension gripped the amphitheater. The moment had come to choose between surrendering to the legacy of forbidden love or retreating into a life of safe conformity. The revelation was stark and uncompromising. Every secret, every stolen kiss, had been a step toward this singular moment of truth. The choices we made here would not only define our futures but also determine the fate of those who had walked this path before us. Then, as if summoned by the weight of destiny, Isabella stepped forward from the crowd. Clad in a simple, yet elegant dress that seemed to glow softly in the moonlight, she approached me with eyes filled with resolute determination and a quiet sadness that belied the fierce love burning within her. In that instant, all doubts and uncertainties coalesced into one undeniable truth. Our lives were inextricably bound by the journey we had undertaken together. Isabella's voice, trembling yet unwavering, broke the silence. "We have risked everything in pursuit of love, in search of a truth that defies convention. But now we stand before a crossroad where we must decide if we will continue to defy the world or yield to its expectations." Her words, imbued with both passion and sorrow, left no room for ambiguity. The risk was immense, the risk of losing not just our love but the very essence of who we had become. I stepped forward, taking her hand in mine, feeling the warmth and fragility of her touch. "I choose to embrace the unknown," I said softly, my voice echoing in the vast space of the amphitheater. "Every moment we have shared, the exquisite taste of wine, the clandestine dinners, the hidden clues, has led me to this singular point where I understand that love, however forbidden or perilous, is the truest form of life. I choose us." At that moment, the massed assembly stirred, and Julian raised his hands as if to bless our union. The air seemed to shimmer with an unseen energy, a convergence of past regrets and future hopes, of sacrifices made and promises yet to be fulfilled. A deep, resonant chime filled the night, as if the universe itself were acknowledging the gravity of our decision. The ensuing minutes felt like an eternity suspended in time. The amphitheater, with its age-old stones and ghostly echoes, bore silent witness to our declarations. Julian's gaze shifted over the crowd, his eyes lingering on the faces behind their masks. Then, as if in unison, the assembly began to disperse into the shadows, their presence a quiet benediction on the path we had chosen. In the aftermath of that transcendent moment, Isabella and I found ourselves alone once more beneath the vast expanse of the night sky. We walked slowly along a path lit only by the soft glow of distant streetlights and the silver luminescence of the moon. The cool air wrapped around us like a protective shroud, and for a long time, we simply held each other, allowing the silence to convey the profound emotions that words could not capture. As we finally paused on a quiet bridge spanning a gently flowing river, I gazed into Isabella's eyes and felt the full spectrum of our shared journey, its beauty, its danger, its inevitable sorrows, and its boundless hope. "Our story," I murmured, "is not one of flawless triumph, but of imperfect, passionate resistance. We have loved boldly in the face of expectations, and though the future remains uncertain, I know that every challenge we face will only deepen the meaning of what we share." Isabella's smile was both fragile and radiant, a testament to the resilience of the human heart. "I have always believed that to love is to risk everything," she replied. "And tonight, in the shadow of our past and the promise of our future, I choose to risk it all with you." In that final moment of reckoning, as the river whispered secrets to the night and the amphitheater's ancient stones bore witness to the culmination of our journey, I felt a profound liberation. The weight of 1,000 secrets, of centuries of hidden passions, was lifted from my shoulders. I embraced the truth that forbidden love was not a curse to be hidden away, but a force that had the power to transform and redeem. Though the path ahead remained shrouded in uncertainty, in that decisive moment I understood that every risk we had taken, every secret we had guarded, had led us to this singular, transformative instant. Our lives, interwoven with the legacy of clandestine meetings and timeless passions, had found new meaning in the very act of defiance against a world that sought to constrain us. With the promise of a new dawn glimmering on the horizon, Isabella and I stepped forward together, into a future where our love, once forbidden, would now be our greatest act of rebellion and hope. The echoes of that final night, with its solemn declarations and transcendent union, would remain etched in our hearts as a reminder that in the dance between fate and free will, the courage to love was the most extraordinary gift of all. And so, as the first light of dawn began to chase away the lingering shadows of the night, we embraced our destiny, not as victims of circumstance, but as bold pioneers of our own future. Every step forward was a testament to the transformative power of passion, a declaration that even the most secretive love could conquer the confines of a predetermined fate. In the end, our journey was not defined by the risks we took or the secrets we unveiled, but by the love we dared to pursue, a love that, despite its forbidden nature, illuminated the darkest corners of our souls and promised a future filled with both light and unyielding hope.